clever and mischievous boy named Tom Sawyer. He was always escaping his chores, playing hooky from school, and dreaming up grand adventures. One Saturday, as punishment for sneaking out to swim, his Aunt Polly ordered him to whitewash a long, high fence. Tom, dreading the tedious work, tricked his friends into believing it was a great privilege. He convinced them to trade treasures for a turn with the brush, and by afternoon, the fence had 3 coats of whitewash, and Tom was rich with boyhood loot. Tom's heart was captured by Becky Thatcher, a new girl with yellow hair and blue eyes. He showed off for her, won her affection, and they became engaged. But when she discovered he had been engaged before to Amy Lawrence, Becky broke his heart. Tom, miserable and melodramatic, decided to run away from home. He met his friend Joe Harper and the town outcast, Huckleberry Finn, who live a life of freedom envied by every boy. Together, they vowed to become pirates. The 3 boys stole a raft and sailed to Jackson's Island in the Mississippi River. They spent glorious days swimming, fishing, and playing pirates. Back home, the town believed they had drowned. The boys hid and listened to their own funeral sermon in the church, then dramatically marched down the aisle during the service, to the shock and joy of the entire congregation. Tom became a hero once more, and Becky's eyes shone with admiration. Tom and Huck's thirst for adventure soon turned to terror. One midnight, they went to the graveyard to try a superstition for curing warts with a dead cat. There, hidden among the graves, they witnessed a horrifying scene. The town doctor, Muff Potter, and the sinister Injun Joe were robbing a fresh grave. An argument broke out. Injun Joe murdered the doctor with Muff Potter's knife and then convinced the drunken Potter that he had committed the crime. Scared silent, Tom and Huck swore a blood oath never to reveal what they had seen, fearing Injun Joe's revenge. Muff Potter was arrested for murder. As the trial approached, Tom was tormented by guilt. The terrified boys watched as the innocent Potter sat in jail, confused and despairing, while the real killer, Injun Joe, walked free, his evil presence casting a shadow over the town. Tom's conscience couldn't bear it. On the day of the trial, he stepped forward and revealed the truth. Injun Joe, hearing his guilt proclaimed, smashed a window and fled the courtroom, escaping justice once again. Tom was hailed as a hero, but he now lived in fear of Injun Joe's return. Muff Potter was freed, and Tom and Huck became even more famous, though their secret fear bound them together. Looking for buried treasure, Tom and Huck began digging under haunted trees and old haunted houses. In a dilapidated building, they struck real fortune, not in gold, but in overhearing the plans of a deaf and dumb Spaniard who was none other than Injun Joe in disguise. He and a partner had found a real treasure chest full of gold coins. The boys watched, breathless, as the villains argued over hiding the loot and taking revenge on someone who had wronged them. Injun Joe discovered an ancient hiding place under the floorboards, a perfect spot for the treasure. But then he grew suspicious. His knife had cut into fresh earth. He wondered if someone was upstairs. Tom and Huck, hiding in the dark loft above, nearly fainted from fear. Every creak of the floorboards felt like a death knell. The men decided to take the treasure and hide it in a secret place they called Number 2. Desperate to find the treasure, Tom and Becky's school class went on a picnic and exploration of McDougal's Cave, a vast, winding labyrinth. Tom, showing off for Becky, led her deep into the unfamiliar tunnels until they were hopelessly lost. Their candles burned out, and they were left in utter darkness, with only a piece of cake Tom had saved. The 2 children faced starvation and despair in the echoing blackness. Back at the cave entrance, the town realized Tom and Becky were missing. A massive search began, but after 3 days, hope was fading. Inside the cave, Tom, using a kite string to explore, found a way out. As he emerged, he learned that the town judge had ordered the cave's main entrance sealed with an iron door to prevent future accidents. Tom went white. Injun Joe was still inside. Tom led a rescue party back to the cave via the hidden exit he had found, and they brought the starving but alive Becky to safety. The town rejoiced. Days later, Tom told Huck that Injun Joe's treasure must still be in the cave. The two boys returned to the cave through the secret entrance. With trembling hearts, they searched the dark passages. In a secluded chamber, they found Injun Joe dead. He had starved to death, trapped by the sealed door, his fingers worn to the bone from trying to dig his way out. Nearby, they found a treasure chest, just where he had hidden it. The boys were suddenly, unimaginably rich. They smuggled the heavy chest back to town and were the talk of St. Petersburg. Widow Douglas, a kind woman Huck had once saved from Injun Joe's revenge, took Huck in to civilize him. For Tom, wealth brought status and admiration. For Huck, it brought shoes, school, and suffocating rules. He hated his new, clean, respectable life. Huck couldn't take it anymore. He ran away, planning to return to his barrel and his freedom. Tom found him and, with the persuasive power of a true leader, convinced him to give civilization another try. Tom promised that they could start a robber gang, but only if Huck maintained a respectable front. The lure of a new, sanctioned adventure brought Huck reluctantly back to the widow's house. Tom's adventures had changed him, yet he remained the same spirited boy. He had faced real danger, grappled with guilt, and tasted true fear. He had also found fortune and first love. Through it all, his boundless imagination and restless heart never settled. The world was still full of possibilities, mysteries, and games to be played. Looking back on the summer's events, Tom realized that adventure wasn't just about pirates and treasure. It was in the graveyard silence, the cave's echoing darkness, and the thrill of a secret shared with a loyal friend. St. Petersburg was his world, a place where every day promised a new story, and Tom Sawyer was determined to be the hero of every single one. The story of Tom Sawyer is a tapestry of boyhood, woven with threads of humor, suspense, and timeless charm. It captures the eternal conflict between society's rules and the wild call of freedom that beats in the heart of every child. Tom navigated this conflict with wit, courage, and an unshakable belief in his own legend. In the end, Tom's greatest treasure wasn't the gold. It was his irrepressible spirit, his talent for turning the mundane into the magnificent, and his unwavering faith in the power of a good story. He knew that as long as there were rivers to raft, islands to explore, and friends to follow, life would never be hollow. The adventures chronicled in this book are more than mere child's play. They are a testament to the ingenuity, bravery, and complex moral universe of childhood. Mark Twain, through Tom's eyes, reminds adults of the passionate, curious, and fiercely independent creatures they once were.